Will anyone be left alive once the antimatter zombies have had their way with Earth? Well, let's hop into the pages of DCeased issue number 2 and find out for ourselves, shall we? Alrighty then, so picking up almost exactly where the last issue left off, things have gone from pretty bad to the absolute worst. Poor Aquaman goes to respond to a distress call at sea, only to find an entire ship's worth of people eating each other. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's better than the buffet, huh? The King of Atlantis tries to help before eventually being overwhelmed by undead and dragged down to the waters below. Here's hoping those things can't swim. Now back over with Superman, he and his family are trying to shore up their homestead. Lois has the genius idea to go hide out at the Daily Planet. She also knows they have analog technology there that should allow them to talk to the outside world. Ha, somehow I just knew analog technology was going to save the world. I bet you all wish you kept your bunny ears TV, didn't you? It's in this issue too we discover all of this chaos is actually being used by supervillains to settle some old scores, like Harley Quinn, who has chosen now of all times to have her big final breakup with the Joker. And wouldn't you just know it, Mr. J is more monstrous than usual, and that's really saying something. Now where on Earth did the hard-traveling heroes Green Lantern and Green Arrow get up to during all of this chaos? Well, it seems that they decided to take a camping trip together along with Black Canary. This means they would have remained blissfully unaware of all the horror happening in the big city were it not for the fact that Hal just had to check his smartphone, in doing so contracting the plague. This anti-life infection turns out to be so powerful it even circumvents the Green Lantern ring's normal parameters not to kill. And make no mistake, Green Lantern totally would have killed Ollie and Dinah if it weren't for a well-placed canary scream blowing up his head, and with the Green Lantern of Earth dead, it means the ring needs to find a new master. Luckily, it won't have to search for very long because don't you know it, Dinah Lance also has the power to overcome great fear, and with that, she unwillingly becomes the new Green Lantern. Though I personally like the idea of calling her Green Canary because she already had a color in her name. Now after seemingly have bitten the big one in the previous issue, Batman finally gets in contact with the rest of the heroes, including his son Damian, who was super worried about his father's fate. Bruce has had an ample opportunity to research the infection, mainly because, well, he's sick himself and he would have succumbed to the madness were it not for one of Mr. Freeze's old suits slowing it down. Batman says because these things are filled with anti-life, they're gonna stop at nothing to devour all the life on Earth, which means pretty much nothing will stop them until everyone's already dead. Batman also takes this opportunity to have a very teary goodbye to his friends and even his son, saying that Alfred is keeping something very important for him and that he only wished he could have lived long enough to see Damian enjoy it, whatever that is. The horror begins to set in for the Justice League that they're in a real kill or be killed situation here against a legion of undead. A legion that just got a little bigger, unfortunately, because as the comic winds down, Batman does end up succumbing to the anti-life infection, and poor Alfred is the one who's forced to put him down as the comic ends. And so that was DCeased issue number 2, everybody, and I gotta say, Tom Taylor continues to keep me enthralled with this story. It's all moving along at a very good clip. Individual characters are having great little moments to themselves to shine. I especially love how Taylor writes his Green Arrow and Black Canary, two favorites of mine who I always feel are underserved. This story also really ratchets up the tension by saying, hey, all these heavy hitters, all these people who normally save the day in other stories, yep, they're gone. They're not gonna help you now. Everyone's on their own. I mentioned it previously, but it bears repeating here. I am shocked for all the violent content here in this story that this isn't a Black Label book. I also think this book is filling a really nice horror niche in a day and place in comics when it's a lot harder to get horror-themed superhero books. Ultimately, I'd give this another 9 out of 10. Just really enjoyable stuff.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, did you know, outside just making great weekly comic videos, I'm also on several comic book podcasts, some of which are very popular. There's the Weekly Pull, which the shirt I'm wearing right now, that one goes every other Tuesday. Then there's the Elseworlds Exchange over on the Comic Pop channel. That's every Wednesday around 3 to 5, give or take. And then how could I possibly forget the Comic Multiverse, the show hosted by myself and Matt of Fortress of Solitude. That one goes live on this channel every Wednesday at 8, and also SoundCloud and iTunes later on. Be sure to check out and subscribe to those if you haven't already. I assure you, you won't be mistaken.